Here now is Jonathan Honan, Capitalist Pig hedge fund founder. He's also a Fox News contributor. Todd Harwitz, host of The Bubba Show. Annika Green, former President George W. Bush speechwriter. And The Hill editor-in-chief, Bob Cusack. Bob, all kinds of news affecting economic policy in the country. But the interesting thing about the visit to Boeing is that they have benefited tremendously from the tax cuts, from deregulations as well, but not so much with tariffs. They're one of those manufacturing companies that have to buy steel, a lot of it, and aluminum, and the higher prices because of the tariffs will affect them. Do you think the president's getting an earful?
Well, I doubt an earful, but on policy, certainly industry is split on this. Some people love it. The steel workers love it. Certain states like it. Congress is split on it. The American public is split on it. But 50 to 31 against, but among Republicans, they support it, even though Republicans in the Beltway don't support it. So I think he won't get an earful, but I think there might be a comment or two, maybe in private. Yeah, well, Todd, the fact is that the president has modified the first comments when the tariffs were first announced by Peter Navarro and other people that were involved in actually creating them. They were immovable. They were going to apply to everybody across the board. Well, then we began to see one exception, another. There were at least 3 or 4 exceptions that we could think of. So from the perspective of the Boeing people, I think that they think this is something they can work with.
Hi, David. Listen, this is just purely a negotiating ploy. This is the art of the deal. This is Trump at his best, who's trying to take the best care of America as he can, and he's using every ploy he can to put the power in the people. And I think that's what he's doing here, and I have no worry about it. I don't think there's going to be any major trade wars. I don't think there's going to be major tariffs. He's pinpointing certain people that he wants to get a better deal from, and he's going to get the deal because we are the biggest economy in the world, and we are the strongest. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to work out great for everybody.
Annika, one person he's pinpointed is Larry Kudlow. Larry is a lifelong free trader, but he's a practical person as well. He had experience in the Reagan administration. He knows what deal making is all about. He's a good friend of Donald Trump's. They've been friends for decades, so they know each other. They can work with each other. I think it's a nice moderating influence on what might be some protectionist tendencies of the president. No?
Yes, I think that's true. And it's interesting that he would replace Gary Cohn, who was nicknamed reportedly around the White House Globalist Gary. And yet the person replacing him, Larry Kudlow, is somebody who is very supportive of free trade. And so I think that President Trump is signaling he wants to have that diversity of viewpoint and is bringing in someone who was even a campaign advisor for him.
Of course, Jonathan, you look at the markets today. If we can put up the Dow, 248 points is where we ended up to the downside. That's more than 600 points over the past couple of days. Markets are still nervous.
Yeah, and David, it's companies like Boeing, ironically, that are really taking it on the chin here.
By the way, we should mention, forgive me, but we should mention that a lot of the Dow, since there are only 30 Dow components, and Boeing is one of them, Boeing really played a big part in bringing the Dow down today. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, and David, to underestimate Boeing and just the nature of global trade, you can't do it. And you see it reflected in the Dow. The more the president either enacts tariffs or even talks about enacting new tariffs, I think the more you see a lot of investors simply put their hands in their pockets, David, because it's almost impossible to invest long term, whether you're an investor with $100 or hundreds of millions of dollars, without knowing exactly what the deal is going to be a month, 6 months, a year down the line. So what you have is basically an economy now that's driven by arbitrary whim from the president, not any type of fundamentals. Perhaps Larry Kudlow can change that to a more practical perspective.
By the way, this panel is so outstanding. We're going to keep them for as long as they are willing to stay here. We've actually chained them to their chairs. But in the meantime, Melissa, we have some breaking news.